A day and a week, a month and a year, a smile and a laugh, a date and now we're here. We're at the top, and there's nowhere else to go. I'm kinda wishing we could have taken it slow. Hello, welcome back to my podcast. First one of the new year. Beautiful January day, sunny outside, and I'm spending it in my closet. Nothing else I'd rather be doing right now. I do this for y'all. So, this one is basically the first time that I'm actually going to have been involved with a girl in my podcast for longer than a few weeks to a month at a time. This one is the first quote-unquote real relationship we're going to talk about. So, there's a lot to unpack. Let's start from the very beginning. I met this girl at a church camp. Whoa! Could not have guessed that. Sensing a common theme here. When you put young people together at church camps, they fall in love. That's just how it works. So, met at a church camp. This one was family oriented. So, you would sleep with your family, and then in the daytime, you'd split up for classes. Adults will go to the adult classes. Kids will go to the kids classes. Youth will go to the youth classes. So, it was very much made that way so that we could spend time with people our own age. So, in this class, the second day, now keep in mind, it's 5 days long, and on the second day is when I meet my so-called lover. We're going to call her Maria. So Maria was sitting behind me, and I was kind of bored in class, so I was on my phone. I was like, oh, it'd be really funny if I airdropped some funny memes to some people. So I was doing that for a little bit, but then I realized, why am I airdropping memes? I could be airdropping my Instagram handle and getting some free followers. So I took a screenshot on my notes page of my Instagram handle, just like, follow me. And then I airdropped it to this girl. Turns out she was right behind me, because after I airdropped it, I could hear them like chuckling, and I turned around and saw that they were like, is you? I was like, yeah. But that being said, after class, I turned around and we started a conversation, find out they're like in a group with their cousins. We go ahead and go get some ice cream at the creamery on the college campus, because this took place on a college campus. So all these college kids are there, and we're just like some youth, like having fun on a little quadruple date almost. Just not really at all. It's a hangout. Getting to know them. There was two girls. One of them was Peach, and the other one was Maria. And I actually was kind of into both of them, but Maria was the one I was flirting with more. You know, I'm getting to know them. They're both cute. They were both kind of short, kind of not. Maria was taller than Peach. So the first night, we walked back to their dorms and then say goodnight. And then the next day, we're hanging out, we're sitting together, we're doing our thing. Maria has a ukulele, and she was teaching me how to play the ukulele. Just like one simple song. We were thinking about auditioning for the talent show, but none of us felt like we actually were good enough at doing ukulele to do that. And especially not me, you know. I always had hated on ukulele prior to this because I thought it was not very much of an instrument, but I was open to learning it and experiencing ukulele more because of this girl, Maria. So we're doing all sorts of things together, walking around campus, eating lunch together, eating Chick-fil-A together, that whole thing. One day we went bowling, then another night there was a dance. So there's a whole bunch of stuff going on here, and I'm spending all my time with Maria. And again, Peach is in the background, but we're together the whole time. I wasn't ever alone with Maria, except for when we were dancing. It wasn't like I could ever make a move on her and that I wanted to, because I was still considering how I felt. I was just there to have fun. Didn't really think much of it. Wasn't actually looking for a relationship. It just come off of a lot of other failed ones priors in the summer, and I was kind of maybe just thinking I should be single for a while, / I was always single, just felt like I should take a break. But, you know, I go with what's placed in front of me. The last day comes around, and there's a dance in the evening, and after the dance, we decide to take some pictures together. And so we do some pictures as a group, and then I wanted some with Maria alone. And then the whole time this week, you could kind of tell that they were trying to push me and Maria together. It was like, oh, they knew there's something there, because I always sit next to her. I always talk to her. And so they knew something there. There's a couple of other guys in the group that were younger, and I was the closest one. I was the oldest guy in the group. I was the prime picking because I was the oldest, you know. Girls always want the older guys, taller guys. I was blonde. She was blonde. She was from Colorado. I was from Nebraska. Not too far, if you do say so myself. Nice, easy 8-hour drive. So we are together for a pic. And I think that one of them had told me to kiss her, because I wouldn't have done that of my own accord. Not that I wouldn't kiss her, but I tended to follow with what the other guys in the group egged me on to do. We were done with pictures, but then I was like, wait, one more. And then when she went to take the picture, Peach taking the pics of us, I turn and go to kiss her for a pic, but she turns her cheek.
Like the opposite of what happened with my spin the bottle kiss. This time, she swerved instead of me swerving into the kiss.
Just like that, she turned and I caught the edge of her lips. So it was kind of a kiss, kind of a cheek kiss. I don't really count it when I count to my total number, but for all intents and purposes, I kissed her and she actually got upset with me. I think she did not want it to be a public kiss, like our first kiss, her first kiss. Okay, well, now she's mad at me. Rip, why did I do that? There's a funny picture of her pushing me away. I left after that and went back home. The next day in the car, she was mad at me still, and so I had to text her and apologize, and we kind of got on good terms again, and then we decided we were gonna stay together and make something happen with what we had. So the next 3 months, while I'm working away at Chick-fil-A in the daytime, I'm texting her and FaceTiming her in the night. It's a solid relationship. Almost every day we were FaceTiming, a long distance thing. We never threw a label on it, but didn't feel like we needed one. And we threw heart emojis out there. Eventually we say I love you. It was that type of thing. We were in love. First girl I can really say I was in love with, or thought I was in love with. You have this idea of someone in your mind, especially when you haven't seen them in months, and you only see them over FaceTime. You have an idea of what they look like in person. But until you see them again, you don't know what they look like. Your mind just can't remember a 3D version of a person when you see them on a flat 2D screen. No matter how many videos or things that you've seen of them, it doesn't do justice. So, come December, my cousin's getting married in Colorado. Very convenient. I have yet to have seen Maria again since the church camp. So, I was like, well, this is only an hour away from where she's getting married. I want to, make a stop at her house and let's hang out for the day, make a day of it. Well, it worked out so that her mom dropped her off at a restaurant, Chick-fil-A, for old time's sake. And we met there. While my siblings and dad were hanging out with my cousins that were in town, I was hanging out with my girl. I got the Suburban and I was able to drive her around. Unfortunately, she took her sister and best friend with her younger sister. So it wasn't like a date. We were just it was a date, but they were fourth and third wheeling. So it was so weird. Maybe her parents made her take them. Point is, I was okay because I was spending time with her, but I was in the background, I was bro, these girls are kind of ruining the mood here. How am I supposed to ever kiss you if they're always flocking us? We did so much that day too. It was everything from restaurants to walking around in the mall, shopping, to riding those kid dinosaur looking 4-wheel robot car things at the mall that you pay $5 or $10 for 15 minutes. I don't know if you all know what I'm saying, but if you've seen them before, they're usually for kids. So we were all crammed on there together. Well, at least me and Maria were. And then, if memory serves me right, we saw a movie. And here I was finally okay, I can kind of make a move on her. We sit right next to each other. We were kind of cuddling up. And then she was getting kind of weird. I was why is she getting weird? We've been dating for 3.5 months. That's pretty normal. Though, come to find out later, she wasn't exactly the most physical person. And when you haven't exactly established a physical relationship with someone, even though you've been together for a certain amount of time, there does need to be that conversation or that build up. And I was just heck, let's cuddle, It wasn't anything weird for me. So, yeah, that's something to consider in what I learned from this podcast. We also go ice skating. We're holding hands the whole time, kind of really close proximity to each other. And at one point, I try to kiss her, lean her down like a princess and try to kiss her. And again, she turns into the cheek. I'm bro, why don't you let me kiss you? Come on, 3.5 months I waited to kiss you and you won't let me kiss you. She said, oh, I don't want my sister to see. But in reality, I think she was just scared. So I left without a kiss. We went to the wedding after that. I was dancing with her at the wedding. Everyone at the wedding is who is this girl? I don't recognize his cousin. And they're oh, it's Adam's girl? Yeah! So she met my cousins, my extended family. It was kind of funny. I took a date to my cousin's wedding that I was not even really technically officially dating. This is bruh. He was here for her and he wasn't here for the bride and groom. We said bye to the cousins. And then when I go to drop her off at her house later that day, all my family's there in the car too. So I can't really do much then, physically. I'm not gonna kiss her in front of my family. I go into her house to meet her dad, and her dad was a piece of work. Can't say that it was anywhere near the top memories of meeting dads, and I've met a lot of dads. Yeah, probably the bottom. Not just intimidating, just a kind of brusque guy. Like, just no forgiveness. That's fine, though. I can stand my own. I can give a handshake that's firm. I had ordered a longboard to arrive at her house prior to this whole day that we had planned together. And longboarding was supposed to make its way into the day. So she had a longboard that she brought with her, and it was just through in the back of my Suburban. But mine hadn't arrived yet. And so then we didn't really get to longboard together because mine hadn't arrived. Well, while we were out for the day, it had arrived. So when I dropped her off at night, I could take it with me.
Her dad was giving me a hard time about it and was like, "Oh, that's super nice. Someone ordered a longboard to our house. Really nice gift. Didn't know I wanted a longboard." And so it was just another layer of embarrassment in front of her dad.
It would have sucked if it would not have arrived in time and I just ordered a longboard to their house and I couldn't get it because we left to go back home. We took a lot of pictures, so many pictures, and that's my problem. When things end, I have to go delete those pictures again. And it's like, bro, there goes all my memories for the last 4.5 months because I spent all that time with you. What did I do that 4.5 months? Oh, well, luckily I took enough videos that I still have some to fill in the gaps. It does suck because I do a lot of things with females that I end up having to delete later. Can't have my current girlfriend, getting jealous of my past exes. Back to the home of Maria and the brusque dad. I say goodbye, nothing special, give her a hug because it's in front of her dad. And I leave. And then she basically tells me that I was way too touchy. She was not ready for that. That was basically the biggest problem of the day. Obviously she had fun, but she's not ready for that. It's like, okay, whatever. And then basically she ends the relationship after that. So, okay, that was it. I think we tried texting a little bit after, but it was never the vibe because she told her cousins that I was like taking advantage of her. I was like, whoa, hold on. You never expressed feeling like you didn't want this. If you didn't want this, you should have let me know. And again, literally all we had done is cuddle in the movie theater and like have my arm around her in the car and then hold hands ice skating. And then when I tried to kiss her, ice skating. It wasn't like anything crazy, right? She was making up some wild accusations about me to her cousins, which are the ones, at church camp. And we actually go back the following year. So this follows me. So we stopped talking for like 7 months. And then when we see each other again at church camp the following year, it was like, I didn't say a word to her. I think she walked out of the room the first time she saw me. But then I ended up playing my song at a talent show, and she sang along. It was like, okay, well, I can still like him as a singer, even if I can't like him as a boyfriend. But that's pretty much the last contact I've had with her. Just because I saw her again, and I was staying away from her cousins, I met other friends there. In fact, there's a whole nother story later in these podcasts that I'll share with that second meeting. But we'll go back to January to end this and give the advice. After you start dating someone, have those conversations about what you expect and what you feel comfortable with at the level of your relationship. Do not assume that someone is consenting to all physical acts just because you're dating them. There's still a level of trust and comfort that needs to get built before you do physical things with someone. So that's one lesson. The other lesson I learned is that when you have other people involved, like watching a relationship unfold or just on a date third wheeling, you're kind of hampered by that. You might not do the same thing. So you got to take care of your audience and who's around you. And then maybe wait until you're alone before you do some things with the person you're dating. So those kind of go hand in hand with just being comfortable with someone and the physical act of kissing, hugging, cuddling, whatever it may be. Labels too. Maybe if I would have been official with her, things would have been a little bit different and she would have felt like she shouldn't just end things right away. In a sort of situationship type of scenario, if someone makes a wrong move, you're more inclined to end things rather than try to work it out. Because we were never official, after I made the mistake of assuming that she'd feel comfortable with me physically, she ended it. There wasn't sort of like this time where we could heal or come back from this or talk about it. It was just like, oh, bye. One more thing that I wanted to include and mention to kind of sum up all of what this means is love bombing. If you don't know what love bombing is, it's basically a lot of love, whether it be presence, time, affections, on someone all at once. And what I was trying to do was make up for that time we'd spent apart in one day. And unless the other person is on that same page as you, where you're both comfortable for that type of love bombing is usually not a good idea. It makes more problems than solves. You don't have to do a ton. You don't have to spend a ton of money for someone to feel loved. Avoid love bombing like the plague. Spread your love out through small, simple acts consistently rather than all at once. Even if it be letters, little gifts in the mail, notes of affection, texts of affection, FaceTimes. service, those type of things. I talk a lot about love language on this podcast because that's genuinely what makes or breaks a lot of relationships. And you can usually tie down the things that I've done wrong in these relationships to one or two or three of those love languages not being the way they like receiving love. Not everyone, but this one specifically, and in the future of my actual relationships, this is probably going to be a bigger issue. Don't love bomb. Make sure they're comfortable to talk about those boundaries. Know your audience. Put a label on it when it's time. Thank you guys for listening. This is getting a little bit more real, and the future of my podcast might get a little bit more real. Stay tuned for some emotional baggage to be dropped. Hope you guys had a wonderful New Year's. I know I did. Still in Italy. We'll see how long I'm here for. Peace!
But it's too late now. I'll take what I have, but you don't see it as something to be glad. You're not leaving, just not ready for this. But I've been ready since our first kiss. It's okay. I'm okay. Oh, you're telling me to